One of the reasons I was expelled from the school is I stabbed someone in the face with a pencil. I suppose growing up, I just never felt happy. I always felt kind of anger and resentment towards anyone and anything, really. The whole kind of football violence thing is that you are angry, you are upset. Happy people don't want to hurt people. It does take over your life. So it's constantly, if whether I was in the car, I'd be leery with people. If I was kind of walking on the street and I thought someone was being a bit unpleasant, I'd have a go back. You're just kind of bristling with unpleasantness. I'd gone to Sweden for the European Championships, and it had all kicked off with all these Swedish fans. We come out of the stadium and there were some England fans fighting with them on the other side of a fence. So I climbed up over the fence and I got stuck in. I punched this lad, he went down, I kicked him. We went off up the road and looted a petrol station. And then as we came back down the road, the guy was on the ground and he was unconscious, and there was people jumping on him, up and down on his head and stuff. And I went over and I was just like, what are you doing? And he said, he's Swedish. And I said, flipping leave him, you're going to kill him. And I just felt completely surrounded by evil, and I felt scared. My unpleasantness got me to the point where the girl that I was living with left me. I lost my job through the football violence because the bosses had seen me on the television doing stuff, and I had nowhere to live because I couldn't afford the flat that I was living in. I ended up with nothing. I ended up sleeping in a car or on people's floors. I hated it. I hated my life. And I think with any kind of form of addiction or whatever it is, you got to reach rock bottom, and I hit mine. I've got to say, I wasn't really I was looking for something, but I wasn't looking for God. And the last thing I was looking for was Jesus, because I absolutely hated Christians with a passion. I just thought that they were the most judgmental, unpleasant people I'd ever met in my life. Until I met some that weren't, and I met Jesus, and then it all changed. I met someone, my mum had set up a homeless project. She'd become a Christian. I went to that, and I met a girl there who was a Christian, and I just said to her, she was quite nice actually, and I said to her, do you fancy going for a beer? And she said, not really, I'm a Christian. I said, well, that's all right, so am I. She said, I don't think you are. I said, yeah, you're born in England, you're Church of England, aren't you? That's how it works. And she said, no, you have to make a decision to be a Christian. I didn't really know what she was on about, but I kind of went along with it because I wanted to get to know her a little bit better, shall we say. And she said, okay, I'll go for a drink with you if you come to church with me. So I went to church, and it was quite happy and quite clappy, and I really didn't like it at all. I felt very threatened. I didn't like the people, and they were just so friendly and nice to me, but I just wanted to be away from them. I didn't really like singing, and then this guy started speaking, and it was as though he was speaking to me. Everything he was saying, I was thinking, that's my life. But what he's talking about, that's me. And it kind of, it kind of pressed buttons inside me, and I just felt absolutely terrified. I felt something was going on in me, and I had to get out of there. So I got up and I just went, and there was a pub across the road, and I went in there. It was a rough cider pub, so I had a few pints of rough cider and went home. Later that night, the girl turned up, knocked on the door and said, well, what happened to you at church? We thought we were going for a drink. And I said, I don't like your church. I don't want to go to your church. I'm not interested. And she said, well, do you still want to go for this drink? And I said, yeah. And she said, okay, well, let's go tomorrow night. I said, great. She said, well, we've got another thing going on at church tomorrow night. Come to that and we'll go afterwards. And I said, not a chance. And she said, well, are you scared? And I said, I'm not scared. She said, well, I'll see you tomorrow. So I went. Same thing happened. I was particularly unpleasant to the people in the church. This time I was in the middle of a row and I couldn't kind of get out. And I just thought, right, okay, I could feel all these emotions coming over me. I thought, I'm going to flipping cry in a minute. I don't want these mugs to see me upset. I need to do something, but I can't get out because they're going to see. So thought, I know what I'll do. I'll shut my eyes, I'll stick my hands together like that, and I'll pretend I'm praying. I didn't have a clue, I didn't know what prayer was, but I thought they'd just leave me alone if I do that. And these two guys came up to me and said, are you okay? And I said, yeah, fine. And he said, can we pray for you? I said, do what you want. And he said, well, what do you want? And I said, well, nothing that you've got. And one of the guys said, well, why are you upset? And I was thinking, I'm going to knock you out, mate. And he said, if you accept God, if you accept Jesus in your life will change. I said, what do I have to do? He said, just talk to him as if he's here now. So I said, all right. And it all started coming out, and I said, I want all the hate and all the anger and all the pain in my life to go, and I want to be different. And the weird thing was, I fell over, but it wasn't as though anyone pushed me over. It wasn't as though I had to fall over. I just kind of ended up on the ground. I ended up just different. I felt that something was happening inside of me and this stuff was coming out. I can't explain quite how, but when I got up, it was as though the rucksack that I carried around my whole life, just full of crap, just full of hate and pain, had been taken off me, and I didn't have to be that person anymore. And that was it, really. That was the kind of start of it. Almost immediately that since becoming a Christian that I had to serve God with my whole life. That was it, because I've been almost like serving the devil for so many years that I had to do that. And so I went to a church minister and I said to him, listen, can I just serve in your church? I'll do anything. I cleaned the toilets, I put the chairs out, I did the stuff just ordinary stuff. And then I had the chance to work in a prison, just doing some kind of volunteer stuff, and I worked there for a couple of years, and then the governor of the prison said, we'd like to take you on full-time as a chaplain. While I was there, I was aware that this building that we're in now was empty. It'd been given to a church in Bristol in trust, and I wanted to reopen it for the people of the estate. Then we were given the building, so we've been open 12 years this past weekend, and it's been hard, but it's been worthwhile. We share what we have with our community, and that's what it's all about, really. It's about kind of loving people and looking out for them, and these are my people, they're my community, they're people that I love and want to look after, really.
Mark Divvy Saunders, I'm 54 years of age. I'm from South Bristol. Married with a wonderful wife, Wendy. 3 great sons.
Yeah, Divvy was one of our kind of enemies.
Me and Dave were great enemies. Dave's a Bristol Rovers fan and I'm a Bristol City fan.
The whole thing about Bristol is it's kind of divided by a river, and you kind of generally, if you're north, it used to be, you're north, you're Rovers, you're south, you're City.
I've gone up through the Iraqis, and to run in like 7 to 1,100 people every Saturday. I've been in trouble, I've been locked up, I've been to jail, but there's never been anyone hurt that didn't want to be hurt. No one with a scarf or a hat on got hit. No one that didn't want to have a fight didn't have a fight.
They hated us and we hated them.
We used to fight around the town, couldn't go in the same pubs, couldn't even walk on the same pavement.
Yeah, we didn't like one another, that was for sure.
So one day I was in hospital and his son was in the same ward as me.
So I went into the hospital, and just across the way was Divvy laying on this ward, and I just thought, oh no.
And he'd come in a couple of times before and I noticed him, and I couldn't move because I had a tumour at the time removed. But he knew I was there and I knew he was there.
And he was kind of looking across and sort of smirking a bit. And I just was like looking, just thinking, just don't engage, don't get involved in that. Later on that day, I said to him, yeah, I know you. And he said, yeah, you know me.
One day, Dave came and said, I know you. I said, you know me, Dave. you know me, Dave. You're gas, I'm saying. And we struck up chatting. And I've known this man 10 years, with 10 years. And we just chatted. It's the first time we talked. And over the next couple of weeks, we got chatting about all sorts of things. Football was furthest from our mind at the time. Then we started talking about faith and things like this. And he'd become a minister. And I said, no, hey, get on your bike.
And then he was in an awful lot of pain. And I just kind of felt that I should kind of pray for him, really. So I prayed.
I had two things in my life which I can't explain to anybody. The day I met my wife, and I had a feeling in here to know this, it was the right person for me. People say that doesn't happen, but let me tell you, it does. I had a warmth feeling the day I prayed with Dave, and the Lord come into my body. I don't care what anyone thinks of me or what anyone says about it. It happened.
And he came out of hospital. He got better for a bit. We stayed in touch, and then he got ill again.
Yeah, last May I was diagnosed. I had given 6 to 8 months to live with asbestosis lung cancer. My brother was diagnosed a month earlier, which he passed away boxing New Year's Day this year.
I just kind of felt, now's the time I need to tell him. He knows that I'm a Christian. He knows what I believe. I've been trying to explain to him, and I just thought, mate, you need to accept him. I want to see you again. I want to, I want you to be at peace. So we prayed, he became Christian, and then we baptised him.
And I wanted to complete this. I want to go to the kingdom of heaven like a complete person on my terms. This is why I've come to ask to be baptised with my great friend Dave. You know what I mean? Which had always been my friend. Let me stress, wrong colours.
God sees us all in the same light. He loves us all, and he kind of restores things that are broken and are damaged. He kind of puts together, but he puts them together in a better way than you can have ever imagined. And I think that's the thing, is just being willing to be used and say, okay, God, what do you want me to do? What is my part in this?
He's been there for my family. He's helped me through some real bad times.
I always think that my job is just being a signpost, really, saying he's this way. This is the way to Jesus. This is the way to freedom and peace. And that's all I'm to be.
I'm not frightened one bit. I really am not frightened of dying one bit. Since going out with Dave that day and feeling that, I've got the easiest job in the world. I know it's coming, there's nothing no one can do about it. I've got the easiest job. I'm going to meet a man that I look up to, I respect, I pray to. And knowing that what's on there is going to be looked after by him. And that's all I can ask.
I'll say, if you don't know God, just say, okay, if you're there, show me. Because it amazes me, and it amazed me when I kind of did that, all the things that kind of happened. Now, you can put stuff down to coincidences. I don't believe in that. I believe that God wants us. He wants to set us free, and he wants us to be happy, and he wants us to share that happiness with others. So just give it a go. Find somewhere where it's happy, where there are people that are friendly and who obviously know God. You'll know them when you see them. And that's the most important thing, is kind of living the life now and keep going, because it's hard, but you won't regret it.